How are you today, Mayor?
So far, so good, but it's early, Joe.
That's true. Anything can happen,
Absolutely.
good or bad. Well, we had a great weekend. All kinds of fun stuff happening. The Friends of the Ruth Gordon Amphitheater went out their season with a huge celebration of theater and music and dancing. And it was really quite a spectacle to see that whole venue revived again.
Yep, absolutely.
But we're not done yet for Quincy 400. A hot air balloon show, Mayor?
Yeah, which when the committee came up with that last year, I said, "Wow!" I said, that's something very different. We're not used to that around here, so I thought it was a great idea by some of the committee members. So yes, this weekend I think we'll have 5 total. Some will be just stationary, and I think a couple of them will be tethered, but you'll be able to get in and go up like 100 feet and come down. Um, and a laser light show. It should be a great weekend. Again, another good event celebrating our 400th. Again, the committee has done an incredible job. But I mean, you don't see hot air balloons around here, so it's kind of cool.
Yep, Saturday 4 to 8 up at Pageant Field and Adams Field, too. So that whole area will be part of
Yeah, you
the.
need a lot of real estate for hot air balloons.
Will you be
My
going up?
colleagues and I are going to be filling them.
Will you be
I'm
going
sure
up in one
somebody
of
was thinking that out there, so I thought I'd say it.
the. Beat them to the punch, as it were?
Absolutely.
Will you be taking a ride in a balloon, Mayor?
I don't think so, Joe.
I'm not a big fan of heights myself, but
No, no.
I would
We're both
guess.
vertically challenged.
Yeah,
Let's leave it that way.
that's correct, yes. Although I guess the view would be quite spectacular from 100 feet up. That must be something to see.
I'm sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I'll leave it to someone else, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it is free, though, and folks should check that out this Saturday. Right now, the weather looks great, so hopefully that holds.
Awesome.
Big event today, Mayor, at Snug Harbor School. I wonder if you can tell us about a state grant, a pretty substantial amount.
Yes. I frequently brag about our teams, Joe, because we have some incredibly talented people that worked very hard on these grants. And, over the years, you can call and get help from the governor or the congressman or whoever it may be, depending on the grant, source. But if you don't do the work, it doesn't happen. So I know Paul Hines' Department of Public Buildings, particularly Margaret LaForest, was instrumental in working very hard on it. And, we're grateful to the state. It's forget the title of it, but it's pretty substantial. That's going to make a big difference in the Snug Harbor building. As you know, that school building, community school, is an important structure for that neighborhood, and not because of the building, but because of what goes on in that building. Very diverse school, some challenging, family situations for some of those kids, and they come into that school and they're loved by the staff and the teachers, and so this allows us to do some major, substantial improvements to the school with energy improvements, big time. So we're grateful for our state partners for this.
Yeah, this is a $4.5 million grant, the Green School Works grant. And in conjunction, the city also making an investment with $6 million as well from grants and other funding.
Yes, and we've been chipping away in that building for some time, as
Yeah.
we have been. I know we read about the new schools a lot, Joe, but every school building gets attention from our public buildings department. Every one of them need work. It's much like having an old house, you're constantly doing things. But this is substantial. These kind of dollars make a huge difference. And, again, my hat's off to the team. And, of course, our delegation, they fund these things. The Speaker Mariano and Representative Chan, Representative Ayers, and Senator Keenan. So I'm grateful for them, and certainly the Hill administration for their support of the grant and in the program itself. So
Yep.
it's very positive, and it's going to make a big difference in that building.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the speaker was once a teacher at Snug Harbor years ago.
Yeah, that's right. He started off in that profession, and unfortunately the timing was tough with Prop 2.5 and
Right.
layoff, but see how things work out, right? He wouldn't have been the Speaker of the House if he stayed as a teacher. He was there last year on the free lunch program,
Yes.
talking about that statewide initiative, which really stops the stigmatizing kids. Everyone's treated the same. So Good stuff. Our state does a nice job with education. I don't disagree with every rule and regulation from the Department of Secondary Education. However, the state funds the districts pretty well. We still do very well school-wise against the other 49 states. So, again, I appreciate the work of our state delegation.
Speaking of work, Mayor, we were talking before we started our chat this morning about road contracts for improvements around the city and how the costs have gone up substantially over the years.
Yeah, they sure have. It's one of the it's one of the arguments I make with MassDOT. It's legislature. I hope they look at the numbers under Chapter 90, which is the money to our roads and sidewalks, the state allotment. And, the allotment percentage hasn't changed in 20 years. It goes up a little here and there, back down, but the price of asphalt, materials, labor has gone up dramatically, so we don't get nearly as much done. That's why we've been funding a lot of the road improvements locally with bond issues. I mean, the roads need to be addressed. We're doing lots of them, and we just opened up the latest road contract. It's about an $8 million job. I don't have the list of streets in front of me, but it was extremely tight. This is where the bidding is remarkable. The lowest bidder was DeRoma. They were $1,000 lower than Susie, both tremendous contractors. And then Susie was $1,000 lower than Norton. So 3 major construction companies within $2,000 of an $8 million project. Pretty remarkable, but good for the taxpayer, very competitive. They like to work in Quincy, and we like these companies, so yeah. I'm glad it's one of them.
Oh, it's also indicative of that, and that is how much it costs now, right? That if it's that close, there's no.
Yeah, we're spending in the range of 22 million each last couple of years a year, which, we get about 1.9 million from the state. That just puts it in perspective,
right.
Out of the gas tax. And again, I'm not whining about it. I'm just pointing it out that that formula at some point has to change.
Mm-hmm. Can we talk a little bit about the future of the former Eastern Nazarene College property, Mayor? I read the article in the Quincy Sun last week about the initial plans that you think are pretty much way too big for that area.
Definitely way too big for that area, yes. We saw the developer met with the planning director and his team informally. They didn't file and brought in some pretty massive plans with 600 units, a lot of density. Yes, one of the building meets the zoning of the 55 and over, but that real estate, that property has a lot of floodplain, wetlands. It's for the most part all around it is a single family neighborhoods, a few 2 families here and there, but overall it's a there's no high rises in that area at all. We want to protect the integrity of that neighborhood. I've often talked about developing. As you know, I'm fairly pro-development, but in the right places, and this isn't the right place for that kind of density at all. Just as I don't believe the Wollaston Center project, which Mill Creek has filed with the planning department, is way too big, way too dense for that site. It's like putting 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag. So I'm sure that the planning board will see to it that is not going to be approved at such a dense level.
How many units do you think would be appropriate for the ENC space?
It really depends on how the layout goes.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have any engineering done with it, so that really tells the story, Joe. Mm-hmm. The engineering about laying out actually where they could put buildings, what they need to do to capture the drainage and deal with some of that wetland issue and floodplain issue. So it would be premature for me to say that,
Okay. Any properties that the city might consider using in the future?
Yeah, I mean, certainly we're open. I think from my perspective, the library and the gymnasium are 2 that I could see the city using through our departments, through Quincy College, for the public. So I think there's some potential there, but, we'll see.
Good. Mayor, I appreciate your time as always, and up and away.
I'll see you there.
Have a good afternoon. Thank you.
You
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It's Mayor Thomas Koch, our weekly City Hall update here on AM Quincy.